Hi, everybody. Welcome to our work session. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Clerk, will you call the roll? This is
Bajent.
Here.
Halliburton.
Here.
Haney Keith.
Here.
Nash.
Here.
Stead.
here.
Willetts.
Here.
All present.
Greg, if you're back there, could you drop the mics just a tiny bit? Thank you. All right, we will move first into the downtown Boise economic development and infrastructure update. So we had Jennifer Hensley. We can wait a moment. Jen might, or you. Oh, gotcha. Jen, don't worry about it. We are okay. Oh, this is loud. Or do you have your stuff? Yeah, why don't we do that? We'll have Doug go first from CCDC so that Jen's got time. I look forward to hearing about the infrastructure update because I, like everybody in Boise, is wondering when all of these streets that are being worked on by CCDC and ACHD downtown will be reopened. So perhaps that's, and why they are all closed. So perhaps that's part of what you'll be talking about, but really appreciate the work that ACHD, CCDC, and others are doing downtown together right now to support all the development that we're seeing happen, recognizing that there are moments of headache that we are all experiencing at this time. And once again, I am not in charge of the streets, just disclaimer, because we're hearing that a lot as I walk around downtown. Doug, welcome. So we actually need some mic.
Okay, here we
Okay,
go.
there you go.
Off to a roaring start here today. Okay. Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor. Great to be before you today, Council. My name is Doug Woodruff. I serve as the Development Director at Capital City Development Corporation, or CCDC, as you know us. I'm here to give you the update, as the Mayor mentioned, about downtown Boise and the CCDC related projects. I'm going to focus on the River Myrtle District and West Side District today. And then the presentation's organized around the agency's 5 key strategies too. And I'll touch on projects related to each of those. And then we'll wrap up by a look at the construction pipeline and what the development status is and what it looks like in the coming 3 years. So just as a reminder, the agency has 6 active urban renewal districts. Today, we're going to talk about what's going on in River Myrtle and West Side District for a couple of reasons. The first being that this overlaps the majority of our core downtown and also our business improvement district, as you'll be hearing from Jennifer Hensley after me on that. And then the second reason is that, as you can see on the timelines on the screen, these 2 districts are in their final years of lifespan. And so we're in the process of completing the public investments that we can by year 2026. We have 53 active projects happening in these 2 districts, and I'll touch on a handful of them throughout the presentation. There is a complete list of projects for all 6 districts available on the agency's homepage, ccdcboise.com. In August, the board did approve the 5-year work plan, so that is the latest and greatest available there for anybody interested in a deeper look. So a primary aspect of CCDC's mission is economic development. It's about cultivating prosperous local economies. How are we doing that? Well, in nearly every instance, it's through public-private partnerships. The examples here on the screen have been getting national recognition for those partnerships and the benefits that they're delivering to our community. The Shree Buckner Webb Park was part of the 11th and Idaho development, and through those partnerships, we've created a new neighborhood center for the emerging West Side downtown neighborhood. And then the Martha Apartments and Ash Street Townhomes both are bringing workforce homes to our downtown where we have a workforce that needs housing. Public parking also plays a very instrumental role in economic development. The construction of public parking is necessary to achieve the density, mix of uses, walkable public realm that makes the places that we enjoy most possible. It's where the people want to live and where the locals want to do business. All 5 of the agencies owned garages were built to catalyze this type of private investment that matches, our vision for the central business district as well as our overall downtown. In the example on the screen, CCDC contributed a remnant parcel as well as participated in the public operations of this garage. And the result of that was bringing a Home to Suites hotel, the Vanguard Apartments, Thomas Logan, and at the Lucy Apartments, as well as there's still some additional capacity in that garage for infill in this area. So that's the net of result of, public garages are public infrastructure. And this is part of how we bring the energized neighborhoods we're wanting in our downtown. At the State of the Downtown, for those that weren't able to make it last week, Jen shared some recent findings that residents spend about 2 to 4 times as much money downtown as a typical office worker. Both are great, and that sort of investment is wonderful. But I think it's important to make some emphasis in this about how our downtown neighborhoods are in part a large, or they are a large part of what's paying for and supporting our new businesses that are opening and this local commerce that is happening in our downtown. So placemaking, what's this all about? It's about creating a valued sense of place, right? It's about building community, and that happens through shared experiences. So CCDC is doing this by developing more public spaces for people to gather and to create these shared experiences together. Shared street design like this block of Broad Street, or like the improvements underway on Fulton Street, as well as the Bass block and the extension of the shared street design down Grove Street that's coming here in the next few months, in fact. These are the places where we can have community happen, where groups of all different intentions can get together and have moments that they'll remember that creates meaning for their sense of place. Public-private partnerships also advance placemaking by concentrating uses and mixing activities. Pulled this photo up again because it displays how the dining area in the park, serves to benefit the adjacent stores and cafes. Meanwhile, the cafes and stores are the reason people are coming to the park. So it's this sort of synergy that begins to create the activity around our downtown neighborhoods. Recently, the agency purchased this small parking lot at the corner of 6th and Grove, and in partnership with Parks and Rec, as well as the Arts and History Department, we're developing a public space that will celebrate the rich multicultural past and present in the neighborhood. This is across the street from the Basque Center and will serve as a great overflow event space for this very popular area for people to celebrate their culture and traditions and other aspects of downtown living. So the reality is public infrastructure is needed downtown. We do have it, but times change and cities grow and things wear out. We are upgrading aging, missing, and undersized utilities on a regular basis. We're rebuilding the streets to meet current safety standards, as well as balance the design so that it functions well for all users. On 11th Street, we've replaced the crumbling canal bridge, upgraded the power vaults, added fiber optic conduit banks, repaired the geothermal system, added protected bike lanes, improved pedestrian facilities, all while maintaining on-street parking and loading zones that serve businesses, along with the wide shady sidewalks.
Going to say on that, Doug, that I know that especially with regard to that one, with that and the combination of others, it's been tough on businesses, but appreciate CCD's work as well as my team's work with them to see where we can help them and how. And I got to say, as it's opened, I've had so many folks just mention as I'm walking around or on my own bike, how much they love this bikeway. And I'm getting a lot of requests for where they're going to be next. So just to put a pin in that. because people are really, really enjoying it, and I
That's
appreciate it.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hearing similar things, and it is nice to open it up phase by phase and see this all come to fruition. We are targeting, full completion of the bikeway in late November of this year. So we're continuing to be on schedule. I guess I'm also pleased to report today that construction is underway to rebuild the linen blocks on Grove Street. This will include improvements to the sewer system, adding needed stormwater drainage, improvements to the intersection crossings for cyclists and pedestrians. The sidewalks there were deteriorating, narrow, just generally unsafe, missing ADA ramps. Those are all being improved, adding in landscaping and furnishings. These improvements will maintain the current vehicle configuration while also adding raised and protected bike lanes. So here's the next spot, is this east-west corridor through the Grove Plaza and eventually connecting to the East End neighborhood. These facilities will serve as another bikeway corridor to and through our downtown. And jumping to the other side of downtown in the old Boise blocks neighborhood, we just received our right-of-way permit from ACHD to start construction of right-of-way improvements between 3rd and 6th Street. Very similar sort of program to what I just mentioned on the linen block side. The other unique piece of this is the Boise City Canal. The leaky sandstone tunnel underneath the roadway will be replaced with modern piping and upgrading that for another 50 years of useful life. So that's an important part of this as well. So all three of these infrastructure projects, as you can see from the imagery, do take into account not only utilities, but the economic development, placemaking, and mobility that's important in our downtown. And so that brings us to mobility and what the agency is doing to expand mobility choices, which includes parking as well as multiple modes to enable a more universally accessible downtown. And these objectives really do go hand in glove with an infrastructure project. If you make mobility a priority, it's the time to do it. And so we strive to make sure that's the case. Another good example of that is 8th Street. And this is our downtown's most heavily trafficked street by bicycles and pedestrians, and so it remains a priority. This example on the screen is North 8th Street, where from State to Franklin, we're in final design to improve the right-of-way to include the improvements you see here on the screen. So what it will include is vehicular facilities that meet current and future travel demands, as well as adding protected bike lanes in both directions, universally accessible parking stalls adjacent to the churches and other community centers in this area, as well as improved sidewalks. And then at the south end of 8th Street, we're partnering with you all, the city, to assist with the mobility improvements with the interchange between the Greenbelt and 8th Street. This is a point of congestion in an area where improvements can make a big difference. So the objective here is to make it safer for pathway users to travel while also reducing disruptions to visitors and events that are happening at the Ann Memorial and Frank Memorial. So in addition to right-of-way projects, mobility is also an important objective we can advance during development partnerships too. The project on the screen here is the Block 68 Catalytic Redevelopment Project. This is an agency-led public-private partnership that's bringing workforce housing, senior housing, healthcare, retail, and a public mobility hub to the 11th and State area of our downtown. In association with this, the YMCA is leading the redevelopment of a new downtown facility as well. So as part of this, the shared use parking garage it allows for the infill of the surface parking lots that are over there with homes and community centers. And this will all be accessible by walkable, bikeable infrastructure. Another part of mobility is shortening the traveling distance, right? The people living here will be able to walk and bike as much or even more than they do drive because the employment, services, activities are all close enough for them to do so. As part of this project, there's also a secure bicycle storage under the Bike Boy flag that will be conveniently located along the 11th Street Bikeway. And this public parking garage will also be located at the busiest transit stop on the State Street corridor. which makes a good opportunity for park and ride sort of behaviors. It's pretty easy to imagine, someone who lives out on State Street that commutes in daily that would want to park at this garage, get their work in out at the Y before or after work, walk to office, do whatever other business they have downtown, and then come back and drive home. So this is another way that we keep our downtown streets working efficiently with people walking and biking in their daily activities. And then the fifth strategy that CCDC endeavors to advance is special projects. And what this is really about is assisting with unique opportunities and revitalizing historic assets and buildings, arts and culture, as well as other public amenities. The recent opening and completion of the Avery Hotel is wonderful to have here in our community, and it really marks a high point for that block of historic Main Street. This was made possible through the city accepting a historic facade easement and CCDC financially assisting with the costs associated with restoring those facades. It was through that assistance and new market tax credit, a few other funding sources that made this sort of project financially viable. And there's a really similar story afoot across the street too, here with the Smith Block building, where historic facade easements in the works, and there's a project to renovate this space and resurrect a community beloved establishment from the past, the Cub Tavern, which used to be located on Capitol Boulevard. Last year, the agency acquired a small lot adjacent to the main library, and through conveyance of the property to the city, consolidated ownership of all parcels on that block. The property is able to serve some intermediate needs, as I understand it, for the city and the activities that you all have underway. And the big long-term benefit here is that consolidated ownership really does set forward a keystone place at the end of 8th Street next to our river in the heart of our cultural district for the expansion of our library and other arts and cultural facilities. So it's unique ways like this where CCDC can assist in little ways to hopefully have a big impact in the coming years. And arts and history, we've got a collection of partnerships underway with the Arts and History Department. The one example I wanted to point out today was 7 arts and culture projects along the Grove Street corridor, kind of between 3rd Street and 16th. The vision here is that through this collection, we'll be able to establish a self-guided walking tour that will really emulate the history of this neighborhood and help celebrate what the place has been for us as a community and is for us here today. So to bring us full circle and kind of wrap up my remarks, I'll touch on development status and get to some of the questions you asked at the beginning of the presentation, Mayor. Here is a map of downtown, the west downtown to be specific, 11th Street running north-south through the middle of that. What you see on the screen is 12 different projects, all in the development process, 4 of which have been completed: the Shreve Buckner Webb Park, the 11th and Idaho office building, the B-side apartments, as well as the Avery Hotel. Under construction and making good progress is the Sparrow Hotel, Broadstone Saratoga Apartments, Hotel Renegade, and the 12th and Idaho Apartments as well. And then coming are the projects that I mentioned on Block 68, as well as the YMCA, and then possibly a dual branded Marriott AC Element Hotel at 10th and Grove. So we do look at this from a comprehensive level and do what we can to coordinate with our development partners in their construction. And yes, folks that are feeling a pinch, that's real. I mean, there is in fact a lot happening.
Mayor? Do you,
Oh,
you hear-
yes.
Madam Mayor, are you allowing questions now, or would you like to wait until the end?
Sure, go ahead. If it relates to, especially if it relates to this slide.
Yeah, well, I was just looking at the slide before about the upcoming hotels, and one of the things that they mentioned at the downtown, state of downtown, was the occupancy rate in Boise and just how high it is for hotels. Do you have any numbers on how many new hotel rooms that this will bring with the under construction banner here. I know that's getting into the details.
Oh, Jen with the phone a friend win here. She says that
Okay.
she does have some of those numbers. So
Okay.
if we can
Great,
hold
we
over
can
that
wait.
question until Jen's up. Yeah.
Yeah,
we'd
that's
talk
great.
about it more.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I had another question. This might be a Jen question too. I've heard that while the occupancy rate's high, that we're having trouble getting any new hotels kind of in line for development due to issues around liquor licenses and maybe some constraints the legislature's proposed. Do you have any perspective you'd like to share on that?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Nash, I have not heard much about that. Um, no, I don't really have any remarks on
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so as I mentioned at the beginning, the River Myrtle District and West Side districts are in their final years. What I have here on the screen for you is the list of kind of the 12 significant right-of-way projects or public improvement projects that are in the pipeline. This represents the work downtown that will be happening, well, is happening now and will happen in the next 3 years. As you can see, 11th Street, Fulton Street, and rebuild 11 Linden blocks are the 3 that are currently under construction. Rebuild Old Boise blocks. As I mentioned, we just got our right-of-way permit and we'll begin construction on that this fall. The reason for that is to rebuild the canal, it's best to do it when the water's shut off. And so that winter off irrigation season is important for us to take advantage of. North 8th Street and 5th and 6th Streets are in final design and teed up for a spring 2024 construction start. And then we have a collection of projects, a multi-use path along the Boise City Canal, Capitol Boulevard streetscapes, 3rd Street streetscapes, Bannock Street streetscapes as well that are all in concept design. And we're still working through what the development program looks like on those, engaging with property owners and fleshing out exactly what it is that we as a community want to build on that. So we are on track and it's going to happen here in the coming years. Those dates are a little squishier, but they're in the works and coming down the road. And then, as I mentioned, the 521 West Grove Street public space over by the Basque Block is in concept design too. I think the Parks Commission and you all will be seeing that here in the next 60 days or so. And then State Street between 8th and 15th is ACHD-led project, but CCDC has a significant financial participation in the streetscapes and some utilities associated with that. So we're tracking that as well to see if we can get that accomplished before the West Side District happens. So that wall of words can look intimidating. Maybe that was purposeful. I'm not here to say, but what I do want to say is that we are tracking these and making sure that we are conscientious about the rollout of this construction and looking at ways to not just coordinate singular projects, but all of CCDC's projects downtown. Our construction contracts do require our contractors to minimize their closures and do phases and subphases of work. And that's difficult. And it's a balance between how much that costs and the balance of disruption between the community and getting the work done at a good value. But it's important and we're focused on it. And the last other thing I did want to mention is that in all of our construction contracts, one of the big requirements is keeping business access open at all times. I mean, there are some occasions where we have to pour concrete in front of the front door, but that is always coordinated with that business of what are your off hours? How can we do that? If it's in the dead of night, we'll be there to do it then. And so a lot of work to be done. I think we can get it done. You know, I think with our community making a choice and 1996 and 2004 to invest in these districts. We're seeing these benefits now of the work that's preceded us, and we sure are committed to doing it cooperatively with you all, as well as development partners and our downtown business community. So open to more questions, and thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Jen, are you all set? Great. The DBA had their State of Downtown event last week, which is why we'd asked both Jen from the DBA and Doug from CCDC to come in today with an update on activity downtown. We wanted DBA to be able to share it first, but then to have council have a chance to be briefed as well. Great event, lots of good news. Look forward to gliding on Grove.
Doug's a little taller than me. Yes, thank you for the invitation to come and share with you all today. I shared a lot of this data at State of Downtown, but I'm happy to take a little bit of a deeper dive with you all and share what's going on in downtown, what our organization is doing, and what's coming up next. First note is we just released our annual report, so most of this comes from that report. Quick snapshot of what our organization does, and the event is focused on reporting what we did in the past year. And so this all says 2022, but I'll reflect upon 2023. In 2022, we were able to bring back many of our large events. And so that includes Alive After 5, where we partnered with Duck Club and Valiant to bring better sound to the program. And we also went fully recyclable in all our beverages. We brought back the Father's Day car show in a new location in front of the Capitol, which was very well received. We kicked up our second year of Supersize First Thursdays, which means we add in a bunch of roving performances. The line we use is magicians to musicians, because that is the lineup of what we have. And then we introduced Downtown Plays, which is what you see here. It's a cargo bike full of games, just adding a little free play to outdoor spaces in downtown. Again, one of the things we heard from our community when we did a big survey back in 2021 was, we need more things to do for families, for multi-generational play that doesn't require administration fees, that isn't necessarily only for an hour right after work. And so we do this middle of the day on a Wednesday. And this year we added story time to it with rediscovered books. And so once a month, we had 35 littles or so that would show up to hear a book being read and play games. It was ridiculously cute. We brought back the game day shuttle, which just ran for the second time this last weekend. This year, we were able to partner with VRT for the shuttle, which was really exciting for us. Previously, the shuttle had always been run by a transportation company that Caldwell Transportation. And so we definitely were really excited to work with VRT. And some people, of course, were confused by that name Caldwell on the side of a bus, but VRT has been an incredible partner. We revamped Taste of Downtown last year. We just announced that it's happening this year. Taste of Downtown is kind of a little bit of a pivot from Dine Out Downtown, an event we've been running for over 20 years, where instead of just being restaurants, we're including all sorts of food-related businesses. So you could do anything from take a cocktail class to the cocktail bar inside the warehouse, to have a cider and cheese pairing at Merriweather, to a prefix dinner at a fancy restaurant. The holiday tree lighting happened, which is coming up very quickly. And last year, we were able to expel a record-breaking 5,000 gift tags through Women's and Children's Alliance. So these are gift tags that essentially each have something on them, like pots and pans or mattresses, and those gifts go back to WCA to support them. And then part of our work is utilizing volunteers. And so we had over 300 volunteers who gave over 800 hours of service to our events in 2022. It'll be similar to this year, potentially more because of our new big amenity. Our programs, so running through the numbers, we hung almost 1,900 banners in downtown, planted 534 flower pots. The downtown maintenance team, which they are all part of Parks and Rec, but work with us through a contractual agreement. They gave over 8,500 hours to our downtown, keeping it clean and safe. We distributed 35,000 map and guides. sold over $300,000 in downtown gift cards. And then we were able to maximize our new swags on streetlights downtown. We were able to hang them on every streetlight where it's possible to hang them, by all new LED lit wreaths. So the wreaths around the county logos all through downtown, and then wrapped almost 350 streetlights with lights. So really brightened up our downtown. And this is a picture of the holiday tree lighting last year. As you can see, it's a really well attended, just beloved event. Our marketing work is a big part of what we do. Our website had over 1.1 million page views last year. We delivered 288,000 newsletters, and we ran ads covering 48 weeks of the year across 25 plus channels. And as you can see, our ad impressions were almost 4.3 million. We always gather data for this event to share, and some of the markers we use are, of course, parking and tourism. So in the parking side, city street parking revenue in fiscal year 2023 is up 3% over the prior year. CCDC garages are up 15%. But the interesting note to pull out of there is that hourly revenue is up 19%. So again, it's just, we're telling that story that there's such an increased demand for short-term parking. So people coming into downtown who are eating, who are shopping, who are going to an event. Our retail vacancy rates are currently between 4% and 5%. This has increased up 1% from last year. But we are just around the national average. We are doing really well for downtowns. Of course, that national average is not just for downtowns. It is just vacancy rates in general. Anecdotally, when we talk to other downtowns, they are shocked that we do not have very many empty storefronts. And the storefronts we do have that are empty are storefronts that are a little harder to get into. Maybe they need a little more work. Maybe they're an odd size. We don't have a lot of just really desirable, ready to go space that's available. On the tourism side, as Lucy mentioned, we're doing really well, and we shared that at the event. Downtown Boise is trending right in line with the state, who is experiencing an 18% lift in unique visitors. There was a metric that, the pandemic shifted who was traveling and where they were going, and kind of reignited the road trip. And so we had, but as we got into 2022, 2023, in-state visitation went up, way back up, and out of state dropped again. So it's just an interesting metric to see. We're up, but people are now traveling more in-state than they were from out of state. Downtown hotel occupancy is up 10% with.
I've got a question about that. Sorry.
yeah.
So when you say in-state, I mean, I know that these folks are in-state, but are you even counting like people from Meridian and Star that come into Boise? Those are the in-state visitors, or do they not count because they're in the MSA?
Yeah, this number comes from hotel tax. So yeah, if they're coming from Meridian and staying in downtown, they count.
Okay, I missed that part. So this only counts people that are staying overnight.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This information came from Visit Boise, who tracks it through the hotel tax.
Thank you.
But yeah, so hotel occupancy is up 10% year over year, but this is with a almost 18% increase in daily rate. And yeah, last year we were about 6 months, we were occupied at 80% or more. Again, in downtowns, this is incredibly good. We are doing really well. The message from our partners over at Visit Boise is that we need more hotel rooms. Even the ones that are coming, we still need more. And I do have that number, which the number of how many are coming will come up soon on the slide. We also track kind of the big players in downtown who bring people in. Idaho Central Arena, who also include the Steelheads, brought in about 330,000 people in the last year. Boise Center brought in just under 150,000. And then, through our work marketing downtown, we track all of the festivals and large scale events that happen. And this says over 75, but we're really closer to 80 festivals and large scale events happening in our downtown right now annually. So this is more the numbers, talking about businesses and truly what's coming and what is here. If we compared 22 to 21, it was the 14th consecutive year of net positive business growth in downtown, and 2023 is tracking to be the 15th. We gained 35 new businesses, and that is not including the 20 vendors in the warehouse. We only had 27 in 2021. So again, that growth is just exponential. And we were net positive 11 visitor facing businesses. And we had 27 on the slate to open very soon. At the end of 22, there were 5 new hotels in development with over 700 rooms for overnight stays. We opened 487 rental units in downtown. And again, at the end of the year, there were 1,500 under development or construction. And when we look at who's in this.
I would just say, I found that stat by the speaker really interesting. What was it? It was 1,000 homes supports one new fully developed block of retail in a downtown.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
And also, downtown residents spend at a 2 to 4 times rate at local businesses than downtown office workers. So these residents are incredibly important to our downtown. Our neighborhood, the downtown Boise neighborhood, has an estimated population of a little over 11,000 right now. And when we look back to where we were in 2019, and again, this was at the end of 22, so just in a 3-year period, that number grew by 75%. So that's an incredible growth. And again, I talk to downtowners across the nation frequently, and every one of them that is doing well credits it to having a high number of residents in their downtown. So we did a survey as part of our presentation. It was short run. We wanted to capture just a moment in time. And so we ran this through September 5th. The event was just last week, so it was just right before the event. Just asking businesses a few quick questions, kind of checking their temperature, see how they're doing. And so one of the questions we ask is just basically like, where are you? Are you in office? Are you not in office? 58% said they were completely or almost completely in downtown. 75%, including that prior, said they were downtown 80% or more. So we're estimating we're, somewhere in there 65 to 70% fully in office, which is again unheard of in the downtown world right now. Asking like where everybody is on staffing, because we reflected back upon this presentation from the year before. The year before, there was a lot of worry about where were the people who was going to work, especially in the hospitality industry at that point. And like remarkably, 65% of people said they were fully staffed or close to fully staffed. And then on top of that, another 25% or 80% or more. There are some that were lower, of course, and there was a secondary question we asked was like, are you hiring or holding with this, wherever you're staffed at the moment? And really what we heard, the answer of whether they were hiring or holding was dependent upon how they're doing. And of course, this number flows into the next one I'll share, which is how you are doing economically. Some of that was based upon if people who are in construction zones who are feeling a little bit of a depletion right now, some people a lot of a depletion economically. So compared to this time last year, how are businesses doing in terms of revenue? We were really surprised to see that 32% of businesses reported that they were doing better. But again, we always have to remind ourselves, those are people we're hearing from. They're doing great. Another 27% said they were doing the same as the year prior. But then there's a significant number of our downtowners, about 42%, who are doing slightly less to considerably less better than they were previously. The couple of folks that are down in those like 50 to 60 plus percentages, again, are folks that said in the comments noted that they were distinctly in construction zones or had a lot of construction around them and were really feeling the effects of that. So our overarching message with all of this is truly, and we say this every year, but especially this holiday season, spending local is more important than it's ever been. We do Small Business Saturday, and that is a day where most of our businesses see the largest amount of cash flow that they will see for the full year. So again, we are going to be putting out that message this year that spend your money locally. Our downtown is still about 96% locally owned. We are really lucky to have that. That is an anomaly, but those businesses, of course, are owned by your neighbors and your friends, and we need to make sure we keep our money in this community. I didn't bring it with me because it's hilarious and ridiculous, but one of our board members, Rocky Johnson, starred in a video that we created. I would encourage you to jump on our social media. But basically, we've always, as an organization, needed to spread who we are and what we do. And so this video is out there explaining it with a little humor. And then the big thing that we got to announce at the event was Glide on Grove. Glide on Grove is coming this November to our downtown. This is a completely no cost skate rink that will be in the Grove Plaza around the city's holiday tree. So we'll do the holiday tree lighting, then we'll ribbon cut the rink this year, and this rink will be open. So starting that day after, that Friday after Thanksgiving through the last Sunday in January. We are both trying to bring more activation to downtown during the holiday season, giving people more things to do, making sure it's completely free, but also targeting that month of January when it can get slower down here, when people tend to huddle back into their houses a little bit more. So, we entered into this project making sure that it would be completely free. We have been fundraising and building this project for a little over 2 years now. We are currently raising, at the event we announced the last 150,000. We're down to about 125, which is really great. And so we're fundraising the last bit of this, but that last bit of fundraising is going to keep this thing completely free. And then because I was presenting to you all, I wanted to make sure to point out, every year we get away an award called the Downtowner of the Year. This is somebody we call out for doing incredible work in our downtown or for our downtown. And this year we really wanted to highlight a gentleman named Don Porter, who works for DMT or Parks and Rec here at the city. Donnie has worked for DMT for decades. He starts his work at 3 a.m. He loves what he does. He often comes in our office and gives us ideas and shoots things, tells us like how we can make things better, and gives us all sorts of communication points. He's a fantastic ambassador for our downtown, and also just somebody who really is committed to our downtown. Yeah, that's it. Any questions?
Madam Mayor. I know we're on a pretty tight timeline here, so I'll save, quite a few questions for later. And I'd love to, check in with both of you. Thanks for the great presentation. Thank you for all of the great data that you were able to share with us. DBA always does a great job with those surveys, and it's really cool to see. One question that I do have, and maybe this is something we can follow up if you don't have an answer right now. I think it's super exciting to see that there's so many in-state travelers coming into Boise and celebrating their capital city and all that we have to offer in our city here. Was a little surprised to see that there were less folks and a decline coming from out of state to come visit. And so I don't know if you had any other input there, or if that might just be something to follow up on in the future.
I would say anecdotally, people are flying more now. And so there was a correlation between how easy we were to road trip from adjacent states. And now people have kind of returned to like the bigger vacation. And I wouldn't take it as a negative. I think it's just the continual ebb and flow of where people are putting their money and their time. But I could get more data on that from Visit Boise.
Well, thank you both so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Oh, wait, did I miss?
Sorry, yeah.
Oh,
had a
sorry, I
question.
missed you. Sorry about that.
I was really concerned to see that 45% of business, almost 45% are doing worse than they were last year. Is there any kind of like compensation that goes to them when there's, if their street is closed for months at a time, or is there any kind of campaign to further support them? What are we doing, I guess, to save those businesses?
So when a street is closed, as Doug shared, there's always access retained, and CCDC does a really good job of putting up signage and making sure that folks know how to get to places and what's in those areas of construction. Or, and again, it's not all of them. There's big buildings being built by other folks. I would say that we as an organization, if we put out, we've had to be very careful about this, because if our social media turns into there's construction, but you can still get what places, the general public reads that as I don't want to go down there because there's construction. And so we've done some kind of behind the scenes creative ways of sharing about what's still going on in those areas. But in general, we just keep doing events. We keep pushing people down here. We keep creating that, quote unquote FOMO about like what's happening. And I will share that, there was a large number of those businesses were in that like 10 to 20 range. Downtowns nationwide are down about 25 to 35%. And it's just the economy right now. People are spending less money on just extra things. And so we are doing better than most. And even those that are down slightly are doing better than most. There's just some anomalies in some areas.
Thanks, Jen.
Well, thank you both very much. Appreciate the time. Love the update and look forward to the holidays. And now we've got Kate Nelson, who will present on, are we hearing from you first and then the video from, okay, great. And just going to share a presentation on our welcoming week and welcoming recertification. And then I love that so many of you have joined us today for the celebration to mark the recertification and then to have a little time before the evening meeting to gather. So welcome, everybody.
Madam Mayor and Council, I am so pleased to be here tonight to celebrate the official recertification of the city of Boise as a welcoming city by Welcoming America. Welcoming America is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that promotes inclusive communities to become more prosperous by ensuring everyone belongs. Welcoming America believes that all people are valued contributors and vital to the success of our communities and shared future, a shared value with the city of Boise. Certified Welcoming is a formal designation reserved for communities whose policies and programs reflect action on immigrant inclusion. The Certified Welcoming process provides deep analysis and reporting that demonstrates Boise's strengths and opportunities for improvement. As a result of the welcoming framework, we as a city have built highly functioning partnerships and a deeper understanding of how our policies affect residents with immigrant backgrounds. As a certified welcoming community, the city of Boise has met objective criteria as set out in the welcoming standard. Boise is currently just one of 18 cities and counties in the US with this designation. We've achieved our initial designation in 2019. And since then, the city of Boise has continued to demonstrate our commitment to immigrant inclusion through the investment in new staff positions, such as the language access manager and refugee liaison police officer. Additionally, the city of Boise maintains a well-documented network of support for our refugee residents through partnerships like Neighbors United. By attaining recertification as a certified welcoming community, the city of Boise has clearly demonstrated that our policies and programs create a future based on equity and inclusion. Certified welcoming provides a benefit to everyone in the community. And I would like to now play some remarks from the CEO of Welcoming America, Executive Director Rachel Parrish. As Rachel and I have expressed, this really is a community effort and a community celebration. It requires partnership and collaboration, and it's really an honor to be able to recognize a few very special partners that have consistently and significantly contributed to increased welcoming in our community. Micron, for their investments to advance diversity and inclusion throughout our community and their leadership in private industry to create a culture of belonging within their operations. Tanta, for championing women with immigrant backgrounds by creating meaningful opportunities for them to lead in our community. Glocal, for thoughtfully bringing people together across religions, ethnicities, and identities so that meaningful relationships can take hold and strengthen our connectedness as Boiseans. The YMCA, for truly creating a place for people of all backgrounds and identities to pursue and live healthier lives. And Global Talent of Janice, for supporting Boiseans with immigrant backgrounds to reclaim their careers, thereby positively contributing to our economy and enriching our professional talent pool. Thank you for your contributions to welcoming, and thank you for being here tonight to celebrate with us.
Thank you, Kate. Does anybody have anything for Kate? I just wanted to say a couple things before I read the Welcoming Week proclamation. We've celebrated Welcoming Week. Our team has been around the city talking with all sorts of folks, hearing their stories, and we're excited to share them, the ones that we haven't shared yet. And it is a lot of work for our staff too. And I want to recognize and appreciate our staff that supports all of the organizations, many of you who are here throughout the city that are supporting refugees that now call Boise home. To our team that also worked on the recertification process, because it's a lot, but it's important because it allows for a chance for us to reflect on what we're doing today, what we could do in the future, and how we best continue to be a safe and welcoming city for everyone that welcomes those in really the toughest of situations to a place that now we hope eventually they'll call home and feel at home and safe and welcome. I want to say that it is all of you in this room that really do, with our team at the City of Boise, make it possible to ensure not only that we are a welcoming city as we're designated, it's official, but that we stay true to our mission and vision at the City of Boise, which is to be safe and welcoming for everyone. And no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, you're here and you're one of us, and we'll take care of you. As Boiseans always have. So this work is both reflective of what we're doing today. It's a reminder of what we have to continue to do into the future, but also it builds on, I'd say, the legacy of Boiseans for so long in our history that have continued to do this. And so tonight, as I read the proclamation, Kate mentioned the organizations that are here. Each of you that were called out as organizations will receive a copy of the proclamation. We have it for you to take home and take back to your office. You got to share it as recognition of your partnership and collaboration that makes this possible, and how deeply grateful we are to each and every one of you. And with that,
Madam Mayor.
yes, please.
If you don't mind, if I could just have a quick comment.
Yeah.
My name is Jimmy Halliburton. I'm the city council president. I've had the honor of serving as the Neighbors United Council liaison for the last 4 years, and for the last 16 years, getting to work really closely with our refugee and new American community in my other job at the Boise Bicycle Project. And I'm really proud of this certification. I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's the humane and the kind thing to do, but mostly I want to make sure that this isn't lost. It's the smart thing to do for our community. Our community is stronger and better and more beautiful. It's a better place to live for every single person here when we welcome people with diverse backgrounds to our city and the values that they bring to the table. And I've experienced that firsthand. Over the years, I've had the chance to work with thousands and thousands of people who've arrived in Boise from all over the world. And I can't think of another opportunity where I would have gained the value and the experience and so many life learning lessons had I not been able to work with some of these communities. And so yes, it's wonderful, it's great, it's kind, it's humane, it's the right thing to do. We should do it, and other places should too. But if places are smart, if cities are smart, if communities are smart, they'll do the exact same thing. Because we're all better when we're all stronger. And I've seen the strength of this community grow as we've had more folks coming in from different places all around the world. So thank you to our city staff. I know that you all work so hard on this, our council, our mayor's office. Thank you to our nonprofit partners. And mostly thank you to our new American community, our refugee community, our immigrant community. You've made Boise a better place for me living here. And I just want to thank you so much.
All right, well said. Thank you. Whereas September 8th through 17th, 2023 marks National Welcoming Week, an initiative to unite with a network of local governments and nonprofits around the nation and world that have pledged to become more welcoming places by joining the Welcoming Network. And whereas through Welcoming Week, organizations and communities bring together neighbors of all backgrounds to build strong connections and affirm the importance of welcoming and inclusive places and achieving collective prosperity. And whereas Welcoming Week is an annual campaign that celebrates the work in communities to become welcoming places for all, including for immigrants. And whereas Boise is home to people of all backgrounds, including those who were not born here, but now call it home. Boise's success depends on making sure that all Boiseans feel welcome. And whereas to capitalize on diversity as an asset, our community must strive to create a culture and policies that ensure everyone can belong and thrive. That includes addressing disparities, countering hate, understanding history, and helping our neighbors to come together. Now, I therefore, Lauren McLean, Mayor of Boise, hereby proclaim September 8th to 17th, 2023 as National Welcoming Week in the city of Boise. And with that, we'll adjourn until 6 o'clock. We've got refreshments and an opportunity for all of us to spend the next half hour or so together to celebrate. I'm so glad you all were able to join us. Anybody else that's here in the audience is welcome to stay. And we'll be back up here at 6 o'clock for our evening meeting. Thanks, everybody.